Welcome, friends. If you're preparing for the IELTS exam, this video is for you. In this video, you'll find model writing task responses on the topic of global issues. Each response hits the required word count and demonstrates the clarity, structure, and language that IELTS examiners expect. Watch to see how strong answers are built and boost your own band score. Example 1. The wealth gap between first world countries and third world countries seems to be increasing. How can we reduce this gap? Do you think that developed countries have a duty to assist developing countries in every way? Answer. The gap in wealth between developed and developing countries appears to be growing in many parts of the world. This situation raises concerns about global inequality and stability. This essay will discuss how this gap can be reduced and whether developed nations have a responsibility to assist poorer countries. One effective way to reduce the wealth gap is through education and skill development. Developing countries need better access to quality education and vocational training so that their citizens can compete in the global economy. Investment in infrastructure, such as transportation, electricity, and digital technology, is also essential for economic growth. In addition, fair trade policies can help developing countries export goods more easily and earn stable income. Encouraging foreign investment and supporting local businesses can further create jobs and improve living standards. Regarding responsibility, I believe that developed countries do have a moral duty to provide assistance, but this support should be practical and sustainable rather than unlimited. Wealthy nations have benefited greatly from global trade and resources, and offering financial aid, technology transfer, and debt relief can help promote global stability. However, developing countries must also take responsibility by improving governance, reducing corruption, and managing resources effectively. Without strong local leadership, external assistance may not lead to long-term progress. In my opinion, cooperation is the key to narrowing the wealth gap. Developed countries should provide support in areas such as education, healthcare, and technology, while developing countries must implement reforms and ensure transparency. In conclusion, reducing global inequality requires shared effort. Developed nations have a duty to help, but sustainable development depends on collaboration and responsibility from both sides. Example 2. The money given to help poor countries does not solve the problem of poverty, so rich countries should give other types of help instead. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Answer. Many people argue that financial aid given to poor countries does not effectively reduce poverty, and that wealthy nations should provide other forms of assistance instead. I largely agree with this view, as money alone often fails to address the root causes of poverty. On the one hand, financial support can offer short-term relief. It can be used to provide food, clean water, healthcare, and emergency assistance during crises. However, in many cases, direct financial aid does not lead to long-term development. One major problem is corruption or poor management, where funds may not reach those who need them most. In addition, relying heavily on foreign aid can create dependency, reducing a country's motivation to develop its own economy and institutions. On the other hand, non-financial forms of assistance may be more effective in promoting sustainable development. For example, providing education and vocational training can help people gain skills and secure stable employment. Technology transfer and infrastructure development, such as building roads, schools, and hospitals, can strengthen a country's economic foundation. Furthermore, fair trade agreements and debt relief can enable poor countries to participate more effectively in the global economy. In my opinion, while financial aid has its place, it should be combined with practical support that encourages self-sufficiency. Rich countries should focus on long-term partnerships that promote education, good governance, and economic independence rather than simply transferring money. In conclusion, financial aid alone is not enough to eliminate poverty. A broader approach that includes technical support, education, and fair economic policies is more likely to achieve lasting results. Example 3. The exploration and development of safe alternatives to fossil fuels should be the most important global priority today. To what extent do you agree and disagree? Answer. The exploration and development of safe alternatives to fossil fuels has become a major global issue. Some people argue that it should be the highest priority worldwide. I strongly agree with this view because the consequences of continued fossil fuel use are serious and long-lasting. One main reason is environmental protection. Fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas produce large amounts of greenhouse gases, which contribute to climate change. Rising global temperatures lead to extreme weather events, melting ice caps, and rising sea levels. If governments do not prioritize renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydropower, environmental damage may become irreversible. Developing clean energy can significantly reduce pollution and protect ecosystems. Another reason is long-term energy security. Fossil fuels are limited resources and will eventually run out. In contrast, renewable energy sources are sustainable and widely available. Investing in alternative energy today can prevent future energy shortages and reduce dependence on imported fuels. Furthermore, the renewable energy industry can create new jobs and promote economic growth. However, some argue that other issues such as poverty, healthcare, and education deserve equal attention. While these problems are indeed important, environmental damage can worsen them. For example, climate change can increase food shortages and health risks, particularly in vulnerable countries. Therefore, addressing energy sustainability can also help solve other global challenges. In conclusion, I strongly believe that developing safe alternatives to fossil fuels should be a top global priority. Protecting the environment, ensuring energy security, and supporting long-term economic stability all depend on a successful transition to renewable energy. Thanks for watching, and we hope these IELTS writing examples were helpful for your study. Keep practicing, stay confident, and good luck with your IELTS exam.